Right, I want to stay on the story. Jason Pack is a first responder and former FBI special agent. Jason, welcome to the show. I want to start off with a social media post, frankly, a post on Reddit that led the authorities finding the suspect. What is your takeaway of this investigation, how it evolved, and importantly, the fact that it took 6 days?
Well, these investigations do take time to be thorough, and a lot of times the police will have leads that they don't necessarily speak to the public about. So that is not in and of itself out of the ordinary. What is remarkable is that this person that wrote the tip or provided that tip on Reddit apparently was living in the same building. So in essence, it was kind of his home, and he knew who was supposed to be there and who wasn't. And that really proved critical for investigators as he stepped up, met with the police, and then within hours, they had the credit card information, which led to the from the rental car, which led to that New Hampshire location. So really within the span of 8 to 10 hours after identifying this key witness, the case really moved forward quickly.
It did indeed. I mean, it's pretty extraordinary. What's also quite fascinating is the suspect has also been linked to the killing of an MIT professor, and that happened 2 days after Brown University mass shooting. What are you reading into this, and in terms of how authorities were able to link these two events?
It seems personal, doesn't it? So I think the investigators now, while they figured out, as your reporters have been saying, the who, that why becomes a really important question. We know there was some overlap in Portugal. The FBI has a legal attaché office in Madrid that covers Portugal. I imagine they're probably in touch with the Portuguese authorities to try to start and interview any kind of associates or witnesses or people, acquaintances they may have had there. Meanwhile, in Miami, the FBI Miami field office and local authorities there are supporting the investigation by tracing the steps of the suspect while he was down there. And then in the past few months, what he's been doing up in the New England area, like tracing his steps. Has he cased the university more than once? Will we find those videos in the MIT shooting? Will he be casing that?
Yeah, and you also said something really important. You said it seems personal. And I mean, everyone's been asking the question, if the suspect is dead, how do you piece together this motive? It's almost linked to academic institutions. He was studying or doing at school in Portugal with a former MIT professor. And then he was also a student at Brown University decades ago.
Yeah, along this pathway of violence that investigators use to try to determine motive, they're going to look at that like something happened and some grievance he must have had, whether against an institution, which may have been Brown University, and then more so against a person, which may have been this professor, or a combination of both. What we see a lot of times in these cases is there's no one easy answer here. So putting the pieces together from his social media, from interviews from his acquaintances, will hopefully determine a motive and be able to determine exactly why he targeted the school and the professor in his home.
So I also want to talk about a wider story that two stories we've been covering at the same time this week. In Australia, you had the mass shooting at Bondi Beach, and Australian government responding very quickly about tighter gun laws. This hasn't come up in the United States, and we've seen a lot of issues around and questions around gun laws. In the meantime, the US government has chosen to revoke the green card lottery, which is how this Portuguese national was able to attain the right to live in the United States. Do you believe this is the correct approach?
Well, I don't know all the information. I do know it's important to know who's coming into your country. And so I think a review of that is not unwarranted. Although in this case, it appears that he did everything legally, was here in the country lawfully. But it is a good idea to know who's in the country, and doing that may be important. Same thing in the ACOs folks there in Australia, the Australian Federal Police. All those folks have a really tough job because the Australian intelligence has to do an intelligence investigation in addition to a criminal investigation. And it's kind of like having to predict that movie, The Minority Report, what's going to happen next. So you really have to work with the facts that you have at the time and take some of these clues, behavioral clues, into account. But you have to violate a criminal offense before somebody can actually take you into custody. So that's really the tough part of law enforcement these days with these active shootings.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, I mean, we've been talking about this story for the last 6 days, and I think there's been a lot of criticism around why it took so long. We've been hearing from a lot of, people that have been investigating this and say they have to get out of the noise because they have to focus on the investigation. Do you believe that the criticism was warranted in terms of the time that it took? Because frankly, they were lacking in surveillance footage, which would have been critical in finding the suspect.
Well, it seems like they had the surveillance footage. They just didn't have the context of that witness that was able to put that piece together for them. I worked the Boston Marathon bombing, and it takes days to do these types of things. Even though you have to come out and brief the public, you try to be as transparent as possible, but you still want to investigate every possible alternative that you have out there. You don't want to get fixated one way and go in the other. And I know they had that person of interest at first, but I think at the same time they were doing other avenues of investigation. So while it may seem publicly that these things are going that way, in reality, I think that they really were doing the right things. As it turned out yesterday, when you get one tip, you match the help from the public with the investigative resources that were there. That's usually a really good combination. I will say there are always lessons to be learned from each of these things. The FBI learned many lessons from all these high profile cases and have been able to make adjustments. And I'm sure going forward, people involved in this case, whether it's the university or police or whomever, will have the takeaways to be able to make adjustments and hopefully make things safer.
Yeah. All right. Jason Pack, great to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time.